Thomas Tuchel's England side have officially become the first European team to qualify for next year's World Cup. In 6 matches, England have secured 6 wins, scored 18 goals whilst conceding 0 and only facing 2 shots on target. They've managed to do this because the England squad is absolutely stacked with a ridiculous level of talent, but also because Thomas Tuchel has done an excellent job of stripping football back to the bare basics. Now, first things first, I need to make something very clear. When I say back to basics, I do not mean that in an insulting way. I mean that Tuchel has simplified the structure, the idea, the philosophy for England, allowing these incredible players to play a high level of football without almost too much instruction in a way, which is a really good thing for a manager to do. I think straight away you can see the balance across the team makes sense. In goal, we've got a goalkeeper. In the 2 fullback positions, we've got fullbacks. Centre-backs at the heart of defence. We've got a 6, an 8 and a 10 in midfield. We've got wingers in the wide zones and also a striker playing up front. Now, this might sound very obvious, but it's not a balance that all teams in modern football seem to strike. A lot of teams seem to struggle to get the basic players, square pegs in square holes. A lot of coaches fail to do this. Tuchel hasn't. He has got some amazing England players, but he's not afraid of leaving some of them out if it means that he gets his optimal balance. So the initial balance is there, but how do England actually now play football under Thomas Tuchel? Well, so far England have faced fairly weak opposition, right? We have played poor teams, which means that England have been dominant. But what I have enjoyed is that England in those games have been expressive, have been attacking and have been aggressive rather than being a little bit too conservative at the back. The lack of goals conceded suggests that England have been defensive or cautious, but that's not the case. Tuchel is taking the handbrake off. We have very often seen lots of players flooding forward, high up the pitch, getting involved in attacking areas, whilst only 2 or 3 are left in these deeper positions to keep things ticking over. You can see this in the game against Latvia. England only with 3 players at the base. And I think this is a good thing to do. What Thomas Tuchel has done is recognise that when England play defensive teams, we don't need a back 3 or a back 4 and a couple of midfielders. We only need 2 centre-backs and a central midfielder. That is plenty to overwhelm the opposition in the first phase. And of course, as a result, this young man, Elliot Anderson, is getting a lot of touches. Now, this is a player that I'm a big fan of. In the summer, I suggested that Manchester United should go and sign him and watch him at the European Under-21 tournament, which England actually went on to win, by the way, and Anderson was a big part of it. It's clear to see why. He has brought something very different to this England team, something that the England team has lacked probably since Calvin Phillips was in the side, but he's taken it to another level. His quality on the ball, his relationship with the ball. He's a player that demands the ball constantly, which England players haven't always done. In any situation, he is happy to go and make himself the spare man. The ball might be over here. He wants to go over and get involved. He wants the ball. The ball's over here. He's going to go over, make himself an option. He is always available for the ball. If England are in trouble, Anderson is going to receive the ball. You can see the number of touches that he has had in the past 4 matches is absolutely ridiculous. This man is constantly involved. He started the last 4 games next to Declan Rice in the midfield now, and the 2 of them are really starting to build a good partnership and a good understanding, but Anderson has been particularly impressive. The next thing that we need to discuss is the shape that England are using. Not just one big shape though, not a formation, the shapes that actually form on the football pitch, and you can see that we have got lots of triangles, a shape typically associated with good fast-paced technical football. England are achieving this very well. It's quite a basic balance, like we said right at the start of the video, but it's allowing players to thrive. So first of all, we've got the triangle here, the 2 centre-backs and the central midfielder. More often than not in international football, plenty to sort of see you through the first phase and allow you to build possession. The next 2 triangles are going to come out wide, where England are full of rotations. The midfielders, Rodgers, Declan Rice, you can imagine this might be Jude Bellingham eventually in this position here. England players, England midfielders, not tasked with always dropping deep and picking the ball off the centre-backs over here. They're allowed to push forward. They're allowed to make runs off the ball. Something we'll come back to shortly. But in particular, I think the ball carrying of Rodgers and Declan Rice and Bellingham when he plays is just absolutely ridiculous. Declan Rice is quickly becoming one of the best midfielders in the English Premier League. Maybe the best right now. You could make that argument. He's just such a complete, well-rounded player. He used to be a 6, someone that would sit in front of his defence, but now he's given the licence to bomb forward. His carrying is so aggressive, and when he gets going, you just can't stop him, and that's without talking about all of the defensive work that he does as well. Rodgers adds something really different to this England team, the ability to take the ball on the back foot. So he can be standing in this position here, and initially he is just standing there, not really doing much, but as he receives the ball, he then sort of springs into action and allows England to move forward. But what's just as important as that, just as important as the individuals, is the freedom within the structure. And this is where England's quality sort of shines through in a basic balance. You know, these players are rotating. So in one moment, we'll have the midfielder inside, a winger high and wide, and a deeper fullback. But this can rotate. You know, someone like Saka or Madueke in another game can come inside the pitch. Suddenly the fullback can go round on the outside, and now the midfielder might drop a little bit deeper to try and build possession. But this can rotate again. The winger can drop deeper. The fullback can go inside. The midfielder can overlap into the wide zone. And all of these players constantly rotating is just an absolute nightmare for opposition defenders, particularly when we get going on the left-hand side with, again, those penetrating runs from Declan Rice into that space there. The opposition pretty much just can't deal with England at the moment because there's so many good players rotating into different positions. And as a defender, you're just sort of stuck on who you're meant to be marking. Now, you may have noticed that in that last segment, there was one player that we didn't have in a triangle. Not Jordan Pickford, because of course he's not involved in the attacking play. But Harry Kane, our striker, is not involved in any of the triangles. He doesn't have a defined relationship with the left winger or the right winger or the central midfielders. Harry Kane is allowed to be Harry Kane, and that's why I talk about almost going back to basics. Thomas Tuchel has done something which is absolutely genius and the job of all good managers. He's taken one of the best players in the history of the sport, as far as strikers go, absolutely immense, and he's gone, I want you to play your game. I want you to be Harry Kane. I want you to be everything that makes you so great. And we're going to get the team to work around that. That's what good managers do. They platform and maximise their best players. Harry Kane is one of the best English footballers of all time. What he likes to do as a striker, of course, is score a lot of goals. And he will continue to do that because he is a ruthless finisher. His shooting technique is... It's a joke. It's a joke. There's no one you can compare it to in the modern game. He's so good. But also what he likes to do is... play as a central midfielder. Weirdly, sometimes, you know, for such a good goal scorer, he loves to drop deep. And that's not a problem at all for England, because when he does drop deep, his passing is better than most central midfielders, which is an extreme quality and an extreme weapon for England. When you can drop deep and get a player on the ball who can then ping it into these positions, that's extremely useful. Centre-backs don't want to follow him in there, so then when he's pinging it, he's sort of got time to play those passes, and that's when he can be so effective. But why hasn't it been effective in the past? Because before, we've seen Harry Kane dropping deep, and it's sort of created a problem, because you can see England end up with no one in the final third, no one in the box. And in the past, this has been a problem at previous tournaments. Harry Kane dropping deep, and England being left with no one on the front line. But Thomas Tuchel has changed that, because when Kane drops deep, everyone else around him is told, get yourself forward, because this man can find you with his passing, and England have so many players that are willing to run forward. Bukayo Saka loves a forward run off the ball. Anthony Gordon provides a penetration that England lacked at the Euros the other summer. Something completely different, a player willing to go in behind. Declan Rice, freed from the shackles of playing in the 6, now playing as an 8, and again with the driving runs, he is unstoppable. He is like a steam engine. We see runners off the ball, runners off the ball, runners off the ball. Even when Kane isn't in the box, he's actually crossing the ball. Lots of numbers in the box, and this is why it's working so well for England. A basic balance is being struck. When players are coming inside, others are going outside. When players are coming towards the ball, others are going past the ball. And every single one of these players is playing in their ideal position. That's why it's working. Now, of course, we must remember that England have played very weak opposition so far. No disrespect to the other teams. But bigger tests will come, hopefully, before the World Cup in friendlies and, of course, at the big tournament next summer. It will get more difficult for England, but you can only beat what's in front of you, and England have done it in extremely convincing fashion. Thomas Tuchel isn't experimenting with his side. He knows what he wants. We feel as though we probably pretty much already know his squad for next summer and probably already nearly know his starting 11. He's not experimenting, he's striking a balance, he's getting these players understanding the dynamics with each other to make those rotations even more effective. And like I said, he is the manager, the man, responsible for giving them the platform to do that. And he is doing an incredible job. Bigger tests on the way, absolutely. But right now, England are in a very, very good place with some quality players to return to the squad still. It's a good time to be an England fan, and for Thomas Tuchel, it's a good time to be an England manager because he's doing a very, very good job. How far do you think England can go with this setup? With Thomas Tuchel, with these players at the World Cup next summer? Right now, it's a little bit early still, but what are your expectations? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. But apart from that, we are finished for today. So thank you guys very much for watching this video. I hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.